Good morning, folks. I'm happy to have everyone here. Let's go ahead and get started in the matter of Richards v. Richards. It's a child custody action before the court here today. The first thing that I do need to do is go ahead and get the interpreters sworn in. If I can go ahead and have them do that and raise their right hand for me, we'll get started.
And Your Honor, if we can ask you to repeat the oath twice so that we're not interpreting while we're taking the oath, please.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. I get you to raise your right hand for me. Ready? Do you solemnly swear or affirm? Oops, I am so sorry. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will faithfully interpret from American Sign Language into English and from English into American Sign Language the proceedings before this court in an accurate manner to the best of your skill and knowledge? Yes?
I do.
Thank you. Your turn. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will faithfully interpret from American Sign Language into English and from English into American Sign Language the proceedings before this court in an accurate manner to the best of your skill and knowledge?
Yes, I will.
Thank you so much. We'll go ahead and get started. Ms. Smith, we're going to begin with you, and you may call your first witness in this proceeding.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd first of all like for the record to introduce the interpreters that are going to be interpreting for us today. For the record, Jolinda Greenfield, Sandy Peplinski, and Lisa Perry Burkhart.
Okay, thank you.
And for the record, I am here on behalf of Ms. Barbara Richards, who is deaf, and I would call Ms. Richards as my first witness, please.
Thank you. Ms. Richards, if you'll go ahead and approach the witness stand. And Ms. Richards, prior to taking your seat, if I can get you to raise your right hand for me, please. And I'm going to swear you in. Do you swear or affirm, under penalty of perjury, the information which you're about to provide in this proceeding will be the truth?
I will tell the truth.
Thank you so much. Please be seated.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So let me just ask, is this setup okay with you all here and you there? Can you see okay?
Yes, Your Honor, I can.
All righty. Thank you so much. Ms. Smith, you may proceed.
Thank you. What is your age?
35.
And how old is your husband?
He is 37.
Is your husband deaf too?
Yes.
Were there any children born of this marriage?
Yes, 1.
For the record, would you state the name and the age of your child?
My daughter's name is Sarah Ann, and she is 12 years old.
Does she reside in the home?
Yes, she lives with both of us.
And is she deaf?
She is deaf.
And for how long?
She has been deaf since birth.
At the present time, are both you and your husband residing in the home?
Currently, it is my daughter and myself, and we live in a 3-bedroom ranch home on a cul-de-sac.
Can you tell the court, please, about your educational background?
I attended St. John's High School and graduated, and then I went to Gallaudet University, and I graduated in 1998.
Now, is Gallaudet a school for the deaf?
Yes, it is, and it is the only university focusing on liberal arts.
What did you major in college?
It's the only one in the world. Elementary education.
When were you married?
$19.99.
Where?
Here in Denver, Colorado.
Now, you filed an application with this court for custody of your child, is that correct?
That is correct.
And if this court grants you custody, where would you like to reside with your child?
We actually would like to stay where we are living right now because it is a fabulous neighborhood, so we'd like to stay right there.
How many bedrooms are in this house? I think you said 3.
That is correct. It does have 3 bedrooms. It also has a family room, a living room, a kitchen, and there is a rec center in the basement. And that rec center is perfect for my daughter to be able to hang out with her friends, play with her friends.
So would you say your daughter is happy living in the home where you are now?
Yes, very much so.
And you also happy?
Yes, I am happy.
Are you employed at the present time?
Yes, I am currently employed at Ralston Elementary School as a resource teacher.
And where is Ralston, what county is that in?
In Jefferson County in Golden, Colorado.
And what time do you leave for work in the morning?
I tend to leave at 8-ish in the morning, so somewhere between 8 and 10 after 8.
And how many days a week do you teach at the school?
I teach 5 days, Monday through Friday.
And generally, what time do you get home from school?
I tend to get home at 4 o'clock.
Now, how do you coordinate with Sarah, your daughter, in the morning then?
Scrambled egg, waffles. I typically will make a hot breakfast for my daughter. Things like hot cereal, waffles, pancakes, and I will put that in the oven and leave for work. And I usually make the breakfast while Sarah's getting ready.
And at the end of the day, is there a period of time when Sarah is alone before you get there?
Sarah does arrive home first, and she will go to the neighbor's home, and she'll be there for half an hour, and then I get home.
And so the neighbor comes in and takes care of Sarah?
Well, sometimes the neighbor comes to my home, and sometimes Sarah goes to the neighbor's home.
And does that neighbor also take care of Sarah in the morning?
No, my husband is home, and so he tends to take care of my daughter in the morning, or our daughter.
Now, do you have any flexibility in your schedule in terms of taking care of Sarah?
I have flexibility with my job. When I accepted that position, we had already agreed upon flexibility being included in the job.
Who prepares the meals in your home?
I do.
And does she normally have lunch at school?
Yes.
And does your husband help with those meals, say the breakfast?
Sometimes in the morning, my husband will check in and see whether or not I need help preparing breakfast. And dinner at night, I do the cooking. I miss
And what's the usual time for dinner?
And the interpreter needs to finish the previous interpretation.
Go right ahead.
And he will help Sarah if she needs help. This is the interpreter. We are asking to have the last question repeated, please.
If I could get clarification, Judge, does your husband help Sarah in the morning, or does he help with dinner in the evening?
I cook breakfast myself in the morning and I put it in the oven. Sarah usually can get her breakfast by herself, but if she needs help, my husband is there to help her. And I take care of the evening meal.
Thank you. Does your husband come home for dinner?
Always, yes.
And what is your usual dinner time?
We will usually eat dinner between 5 and 6 o'clock.
And do the three of you generally have dinner together?
Yes.
What are the general kinds of foods that you serve for dinner?
We will have chicken or some sort of meat, potatoes, a vegetable. That tends to be our routine.
And does Sarah like those kinds of food?
She's good about eating it. She eats it.
Who does the shopping for the food?
I do.
And does your husband ever shop for the dinner table?
I tend to do most of the grocery shopping, but my husband will occasionally stop if I need him to pick up something.
And are you teaching Sarah table manners?
Oh, yes, she's got to learn manners.
And do you ever eat out?
Rarely do we eat out. I mean, sometimes if there's a friend over, we may go out for burgers or a pizza, but usually we eat at home.
And how are Sarah's personal habits, her cleanliness? She's 12.
She's prone to cleanliness. Sarah is prone to cleanliness. She usually will take a shower 3-4 times a week, and she changes her clothes regularly.
And how do you know she showers that many times a week?
I've always been there, and I usually tell her to go and take a shower.
And how would you describe her bedroom, the state of her bedroom?
Well, she's a typical teenager, and her bedroom looks like a typical teenager's. Overall, it's relatively clean. She tries to make her bed. She'll throw some clothes on the floor. Some clothing will be laying around, but I'd say it's pretty typical.
Are you?
And I'm satisfied with how she keeps her room.
How about your husband? Is he comfortable with the way Sarah keeps the bedroom?
I don't think it bothers him how she keeps her room. He very rarely checks in on her room.
So he doesn't really go into her room?
He does not.
Let's talk about Sarah's medical situation or issues. Does Sarah have a pediatrician or a doctor?
She does have a doctor.
And his name, please?
Dr. Wendler, and he's located on the corner of 104th and Hayes in the Golden Medical Center, or Golden Medical Building.
Who takes Sarah to the doctor when she needs to go?
I tend to take my daughter.
And so, do you know the doctor?
I don't know Dr. Wendler personally, but I do know him as a doctor, and I feel comfortable with him being my daughter's doctor. And, you know, I've seen him for over 50 visits.
And how do you communicate, and how does Sarah communicate with the doctor?
How does Sarah communicate? I will call and request a sign language interpreter through Purple Communications.
And has your husband ever been to Sarah's doctor's office?
Never.
Now, if you would tell the judge, please, does Sarah have any special medical conditions?
Sarah has lazy eye. Otherwise, she is in generally good health. It's just the eye issue that we're working on at this time.
And is there any prediction about this eye problem being anything more serious, or can it be cured?
The doctor says that her lazy eye will recover over time, that it will go away.
How about dentists? Does Sarah go to a dentist regularly?
She goes twice a year for cleanings.
And who takes her?
I do.
And is Sarah taking any prescriptions?
No, ma'am.
If she needed medicine, who would give that to her?
I give her the medication. So if she's sick and on antibiotics, I'm the one that's responsible for giving her the medication to make sure that she takes it.
How do you order these prescriptions?
I order the prescriptions using the video phone. My daughter and I use the video phone.
Can you please explain to the judge what a video phone is?
I am more than happy to explain. I have a TV, and on the TV there is a camera, very similar to a webcam, and I call to a call center, and I have an interpreter that comes up on the screen, and I can sign to the interpreter who voices in spoken English what I am signing. So that way I can carry on a conversation with somebody who is not deaf.
Now, you mentioned that you and Sarah use this. So you've taught her to, have you taught her to use this?
She is very good at using the VP. I did teach her how to use the VP because I wanted her to be able to call 911 if she needed to, and also to contact family members.
Now, like any kid for the past several years, has Sarah ever needed to stay home from school because she's been ill?
Yes,
And who would stay home with her if she needed it?
I stay home and take care of her.
Does that create any sort of problem with your employment?
No, it doesn't create any problems because if I need to miss work, I call into the school and they get a substitute teacher to replace me.
Who purchases Sarah's clothing?
I shop.
And where do you shop?
Typically, I will shop at Kohl's, Macy's, J.C. Penney's, Old Navy. Depends on what it is I'm buying for Sarah and what it is she wants.
Now, if I were to ask you today, what is Sarah's precise size, would you be able to answer?
Yes,
Now, if I were to ask your husband the same question, would he know what Sarah's clothing size were?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for speculation.
The objection will be overruled. Ms. Richards, you can answer that question if you know the answer.
he doesn't shop for her, so he doesn't know what size she wears.
Thank you. Now, who does the laundry, the mending, the sewing, household chores?
I do.
And you may have mentioned this, but as to Sarah's education, what school is Sarah presently attending?
Right now, she is going to the Rocky Mountain Deaf School, and it is a magnet school, and it's a bilingual program.
And what grade is she in?
She's in 6th grade.
Now, have you ever been to the school? Do you visit the school?
Yes.
How often?
I don't go very often, but I will go for parent-teacher conferences, which happen 3 to 4 months after school starts. And I will sit down with her teacher and discuss how she's doing in school, if she's having any problems, things like that.
Is Sarah having any particular problems at this time?
Not that I know of. She's doing really well.
How are her grades?
She usually gets A's. She's a very bright girl.
Does she like school?
She does like school. She likes being able to socialize with her friends. She also enjoys being able to get direct access to communication from her teachers because everybody signs at the school.
And how do you know that she likes her classmates?
I know that she enjoys her classmates because she tends to bring them home and they will play downstairs in the rec room.
Thank you. Does she like her teachers?
She loves her teachers. She likes the ability of having direct communication with her teachers, being able to have direct access to the communication. She loves it.
Does she have homework?
She does have homework. I will help her with her English, but my husband also helps her with homework as well.
Do you ever read to her?
She usually reads herself, but she does enjoy when I sign poetry to her. She enjoys seeing the poems in American Sign Language.
Now, you have a background in English. Do you think those language skills help Sarah more than perhaps with her father?
I think that's very true.
Do you do other things outside the home to stimulate her intellectually, like museums or anything like that?
I don't usually take her because she usually gets that kind of exposure from field trips, but I will take her to see a movie with with open captioning. But as far as going to the museums and stuff, she usually gets that through field trips.
And how about television?
Rarely. I don't really watch a lot of television, and it's pretty rare for my daughter to watch TV.
How does your husband feel about television?
He doesn't watch TV either.
How about, have you given Sarah any religious training?
I would like us to go to church as a family, but my husband is not too interested in the religious aspect, so usually it is my daughter and I that will go to church on Sundays, and she attends Sunday school.
And does Sarah have birthday parties with other kids?
Yes, in fact, we just recently had one, and we had 7 girls at the birthday party.
And who sets those up, or who's the planner for those?
I made the plans, and the party was at our home.
What is the state of your health? Do you have any health issues?
No, I don't have any health issues. I'm fine.
Do you know if your husband has any health issues?
No, he doesn't have any health issues. He's pretty healthy.
Do you have any special skills or talents that you've used with Sarah?
My skill is my English, and I encourage the development of that language for my daughter because it is a sophisticated world. So I encourage the development of her English skills. That's what my talent is.
Now, if I were to ask you to describe for the court a typical weekday from the morning to the evening, would you be able to do that?
Yes, I could.
And the same thing on the weekend. If I were to ask you what happens in the morning till last thing at night, what the family routine is, would you be able to do that?
I could, yes.
Now, there have been allegations about your drinking. Are you aware of these allegations?
I am aware of that.
Please tell the court what that situation was or is.
I used to drink, and it led to arguments. I eventually realized that I had a drinking problem, and I stopped drinking. And I haven't been drinking for the past 12 months, the past year.
Ms. Richards, does Sarah love her father?
She does, yes.
And how would you describe her relationship with her father?
They have a fabulous relationship with each other.
How would you describe your relationship with Sarah?
We have a good relationship. We can communicate with each other. I encourage her to tell me things. I'm always there for her to listen. We have a good relationship.
And do you feel like you are close to Sarah?
Yes, definitely.
And do you believe that Sarah would be better off in your custody than your husband's?
With me, yes.
And please tell the judge why that is.
Your Honor, I think Sarah would be better off with me because of my educational background. I believe that I can foster her development of English, her English skills, because it is a sophisticated world that we live in. I am responsible for taking her to the doctor, responsible for purchasing groceries. I'm the one that goes to the parent-teacher conferences. I'm always there for her. I also, will buy her clothes. So it's just all of these things together is the reason that I think it would be better for Sarah to be with me.
And if you were awarded custody, would you encourage a strong relationship with her father?
Oh, yes, definitely. I would strongly encourage her to have a good relationship with her father and to keep that relationship. Yes.
Thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions at this time.
All righty, Ms. Smith, thank you very much. Ms. Richards, at this point in time, your husband's attorney has an opportunity to ask you questions. It's called cross-examination. Ms. Brown?
Yes,
You
Your
may
Honor.
proceed.
Thank you. Ms. Richards, you say you're employed as a teacher, is that correct?
Yes, as a resource teacher.
And as a resource teacher, you have rigid hours, is that correct?
During the school year, yes.
You leave early in the morning?
I leave between 8 a.m. to 8:10.
And that's before Sarah leaves for school, is that correct?
That is correct.
And to be exact, it's 45 minutes before she leaves to school, correct?
Actually, it's about 30 minutes.
Now, in bad weather, you're not around to take Sarah to school, are you?
You're correct. That's right.
But your husband is around, isn't that correct, to take her to school when it's bad weather outside?
Right.
And he, in fact, drives Sarah when there's bad weather, drives her to school.
You're right.
And he can do this because his work hours are more flexible than yours, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct because he works from home.
And he can arrange his schedule around Sarah's schedule, correct?
That is right.
And if Sarah's sick, you can't just take off from work, isn't it true? Isn't that true?
Actually, that's not true. I can stay home from work. It's very easy to call in and get a substitute teacher to replace me if Sarah is sick. I will stay home and take care of her.
When you call in for work, does that impair your job security?
Actually, my job is very secure. It was something that we discussed and as part of my contract that I have that flexibility to take care of my child.
A short time ago, you testified that you've had a drinking problem, is that correct?
Yes, that is right.
Did it affect your home life?
it impacted the relationship that I had with my husband.
Was Sarah aware of your drinking problem?
Objection, Your Honor. It's never been described as a problem. It has simply been an issue in her life that she addressed.
And I'll agree with you, Ms. Smith, as to the objection. And so I will sustain that objection and ask the reporter to strike from the record the use of the word problem. It was not described as been no showing that there was a problem in terms of the drinking. So we'll strike that from the record. And Ms. Richards, you may answer the question.
No, I don't think she knows.
Well, isn't it true, Miss Richards, that at Sarah's birthday party, you started drinking and became intoxicated and called all the children's parents to come pick them up from the birthday party?
Not that I'm aware of.
You don't recall that happening?
I remember that Sarah had a good time at her birthday party. She specifically told me she really enjoyed her birthday party.
Isn't it true that you've had problems controlling your emotions when you're drinking?
I do have a problem controlling my emotions, and it's because my husband is so critical of me, and so I get so stressed out that I become emotional. That's true.
And you're asking the court today to believe that all of a sudden you stopped drinking 1 year ago?
Yes, and yes, Your Honor, I did stop drinking 1 year ago.
Your Honor, I have no further questions at this time.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Brown. Ms. Smith, you have any other witnesses at this time?
Yes, Your Honor, I would call Dr. Marshall as the next witness, please.
Okay. Ms. Richards, that completes your testimony. If you'll go ahead and take a seat next to your attorney. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.